So let's briefly talk about magic squares while I go to a bus. This has to do with the magic square test question. 42 magic square. So to figure this out, you guys are going to have to compare and contrast between both squares. You should probably also find another magic square, hey, and once again, just analyze and interpret. You're going to see some differences in the ones that work and the ones that don't. In other words, the upper 42 magic square that I babbled about. I don't like spelling these things out. I mean, you can't just pluck a single answer out of the air and assume that's going to be it. That's not how it works. You will see differences between the ones that work and the ones that don't. And all you gotta do is reason that out. That's all I'm asking for. I don't know. It shouldn't be this hard. That's the point. If you hung out, thanks for hanging out. Not unlike anything and everything I've handed the public sphere, the masses, you're gonna see a discernible difference. Ignore the coffee cup. You're going to see a discernible difference between what people are shopping around and what I can teach you if you think about it. And in order to appreciate this, you would have to compare and contrast. I can't stress that enough. I keep telling folks, keep it simple, heathens. It's not just a line. You can use it as a fucking tool. Here's this is a related note, but it's part of what you could do with the magic squares. I saw some asshole online, and people were babbling about gematria, and people were babbling about Jesus, and one of them rattled off, Jesus equals 666. Again, there are two sides to every story. This is a dualistic system. It's binary. This is why our masters are training people to repeat quite the opposite. And as such, when you hear people babbling about gematria, that's just one side of things. That's just part of it. And people don't understand that because people aren't thinking. I can give you example after example after example, and people just do not have a fucking clue. They don't have a dog in the race. This is why I'm barking at the internet constantly. Constantly. Another example that I've thrown out there, and these aren't things that you're spoon-fed. You don't hear these assholes who have a platform, quite literally, who have, their information well circulated. They don't speak to these things because they're either controlled opposition or they don't have a fucking clue. Because they never took the time to look into it. So what I'm getting at with that is when you hear some dumb fuck out there talking about black magic, anything and everything you see shopped around in terms of materialistic, superficial society, that is black magic, motherfucker. It's the material goods. It's black magic. The programming on the box, crudely speaking, it's black magic. It impacts what lies within, but at face value, that's black magic. Jump on the internet and plug something into Google, and you're probably going to be shown a tennis shoe, a car. You're going to get some kind of materialistic ad. You're going to be sold something. They're going to try to sell you something. It's black magic. It's as superficial as it comes. No, really. People will talk about how it's spiritual warfare. And by the way, what I'm telling you right now, this relates to the magic squares in case you aren't thinking for yourself and you're not connecting the dots and you haven't realized that what I can teach you across the board interconnects. So you'll hear about spiritual warfare and shit like that. Yeah, and it's being facilitated by the black magic. So the black magic is impacting the quote unquote, white magic, how you think about things. Let's dance back to that thought about a binary system and what people are repeating. It's a corruption. And it's based on what? Because there's a war on words. Here, this is still on the board, in case you guys just don't have a fucking clue and or you're not taking notes. Now, a lot of kids out there will probably say, but you said gematria, but you said it was one side, and but what? What did I also say? I said a lot, but I said simplify things, heathens. And you're gonna get both sides to it. You got to understand that the letters and the numbers, you have to use both. If you don't use both, you're never gonna figure anything out. And they cut two different ways. Crudely speaking. Again, not something that comes up. Not something that is spoon-fed to you. Not something you're supposed to understand, let alone appreciate. I'll digress. I mean, most people just hear, I think most people, I'm pretty fucking sure based on what most people fucking whine about. Dude, you're just barking at the internet. You don't, what the fuck, dude? Take notes, think about what I said, because I am helping you. But most people out there are too fucking stupid. What's the expression? You can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. I mean, that is applicable. These age-old adages hold water, so to speak. You've heard, there's nothing new under the sun. Most people are below average, and they will not change that because they have not chosen an adventure. They haven't begun the journey, and they probably never will. That's why all the wrong people are in power. That's why all the wrong people are pulling our strings, and most people are blissfully unaware of this because they've been inundated and indoctrinated into a superficial society. And again, based on black magic, which they do not fucking grasp. They'll talk about, Saturnian this and Saturnian that. You and I are made from Mother Earth. It is the black magic. It's Satan, Saturn, same fucking thing. It's Saturn L. And you rarely hear that come up. You are never fucking told that you're made from it. Because you're not supposed to know these things. Yet people babble about the Father and all this other crap. It just cracks me up. And it's mini splintered. This is the best part. And again, now I'm pulling punches because why dress this up in a digestible outline and spoon feed you something? Especially prepackaged. It's another reason why I'm not doing that these days for the most part. And I said I wouldn't until somebody answers a test question. I'm trying to stick to that. But when you do, and when I have in the past, just made a prepackaged outline of things, people still don't think about it. They'll take that and they'll repeat it. And I'll hear that when I interact with people. They'll use my words when they talk to me. Oh, that sings to something. Da 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 da. And I keep in mind, I'm aware there's a thesaurus out there, synonyms, other things like that. And some people, how should I put it? Some folks out there aren't writers, maybe, or things like that. Maybe that's not something that they stress in terms of importance. But what I'm getting at is when you internalize something, you will adopt it and you will adapt it to suit your needs. And when you spit it back out, it's going to be slightly different. It's going to sound different. It's going to probably look different than it was going in because you internalized it. And that's not what I see when I interact with people. Now, take that with a grain of salt. Maybe I'm wrong. But based on the numerous interactions I've had over the years and the fact that people can't answer the test questions, it's very likely they are not internalizing this, processing the information, which is why they don't get it. They don't understand how to do it. And this is likely why they haven't been able to answer test questions, among other things, let alone just reasoning out the simplest of things. But when I spoon feed you something and it resonates, yeah, it's an eye-opener. You would not have come by it otherwise. I've rattled that off numerous times. Yes, I gave it to you. Now you know about it. Doesn't mean you understand it. Doesn't mean you get it in the slightest way. Let alone could you apply it to other things. And this is the problem. This is why I'm looking for people who can reason things out. Because once you can start to do that, you begin this journey, and the whole point is, well, part of the point is what I should say is, then you start to pose a threat to our masters. Because you're a well-meaning, thinking fucking bipedal sack of meat carrying light. But you're not just a bag of meat. You're capable of abstract expression. You can analyze and interpret. The only reason we've been taken in is because people cannot fucking do that, apparently. Through and through. And you'll see this if you interact with people and you ask them something outside of the narrow parameters of superficial materialistic shit. They will look at you blankly. The internet has been trained to repeat, the fluoride stare. Because people aren't terribly creative and or bright these days. That thought speaks to what I was getting at with people just spitting back what I taught them and using my words, which doesn't tell me a whole lot. Either way, what the fuck do I know? If you hung out, thanks for hanging out. This was my evening rant on a foggy day, and if you suffered through it, hopefully you took something away from it.